Hi, Colin.
Oh, hi Richard, how are you doing?
Nice to see you.
Hoping you're going to tell me a little bit about this this car. I see it's got a little label from Bellevue Garage. What's that all about?
It has. It has. Well spotted. It's this is the Bellevue Garage was actually the garage, the company that built this car, supplied this car. This car was supplied by MG. And who a lot of the people listening will be familiar with MG as a brand, still around today.
Yeah.
This is the maker's plate that they used to put onto the dashboard of all the cars they supplied, and this was one of the cars that they supplied.
Oh, okay. So who would have acquired a car like this? What would it have been used for?
Essentially, MG's. This is in 1934. They built 8 of these cars purely and simply for amateur racers to take to race meetings and use on the track. This was the famous MG Q-Type, and essentially it was one of 8, and this was number 4. So the 4th one produced of 8, and it was produced in Abingdon and fettled by the Bellevue Garage.
That's a pretty rare beast. So how many of them are left now?
Well, all 8 are accounted for in various places around the world. There's some there's one in Sweden in a museum. A couple exist in Australia, and there's probably 3 or 4 in this country.
Right.
They are all known anyway. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. So tell me a bit about the rest of the car there. It doesn't look like a standard sort of gate gearbox in there.
Well, it's interesting. This was in the 1930s, so technology was obviously less highly developed than it is now with gearboxes. But this was a very sophisticated gearbox at the time, which was called a pre-selector gearbox. And the pre-selector gearbox, as its name suggests, means that you can select the gear that you would like next.
Right,
so
yes.
Ideal for racing. So if you're up into 4th, you can select 3rd for the bend without having to dip the clutch or do anything else. You select 3rd. As soon as you dip the clutch, the 3rd gear will be selected, saving time and fiddling about in the car.
Oh, right. Okay.
Crucial time in a race can be saved. So.
Ideal for these young racers in the 1930s.
Absolutely. Yeah. This was the sophisticated technology of the 30s. Yeah. Yes.
So obviously it's only a single seater.
It is.
So who would have driven a car like this?
Yes, well, we talked briefly earlier about the Bellevue Garage, and essentially there was the Evans family who ran this garage. There was Dennis and Kenneth, the 2 brothers, and their sister Doreen. And between Doreen and Kenneth Evans, they extensively campaigned this particular car. We'd probably, to be nerdy about it at this stage, mention that this is QA, so it was a Q-type, A0254. That was the chassis number, and QA0254 was extensively Doreen's single-seater car.
Oh, right.
And it was it left the factory as a standard Q-type. MG produced it as a Q-type racer, and then somebody who was a chap called Wilkie Wilkinson, he essentially made the conversion to a single-seater. He wanted to improve on what MGs had given him, and essentially wanted to slim it down, take a lot of weight out of it. And I think there was a big incentive that he was effectively doing this for the boss's daughter. So it was a big coup for him.
Yes. That
Doreen fell in love with the car and was very successful with it. Very successful indeed. It tracks that are now famous, Brooklands and Shelsley Walsh and Prescott, and lots of speed trials in between. So
how old would she have been when she was racing this then?
Well, her most successful period actually was when she was at her youngest. She was only 17 when she achieved a record at Brooklands for the youngest woman to achieve the heady speeds of 101.7 miles an hour around some remains of Brooklands, as people may know, but when you see the banking and the sort of roughness of the track, is quite incredible to believe when you look in this cockpit that someone went round at that sort of speed.
That must have been really
Oh,
scary,
absolutely.
rather than me, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I think you know, the young, you know, sort of take on these things, and as we get older, we have more inhibitions. But you've got to just have the greatest admiration for somebody to get into this without any degree of safety. So
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Should we take a look at the other end of the car?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to show you.
Okay, so what have we got down this end? This gadget bolted on the front of the engine here.
You're making me laugh, Colin. This gadget. This is the supercharger here. This is the effectively it's like a big hairdryer that pumps fuel air mixture into the engine. Comes up here and up into the inlet manifold, and then allows what is a relatively small engine to have quite a lot of power. And if we take the classic leather belt that most people might be familiar for holding up trousers, but in these days it actually secured the bonnet, and we're just going to take this little flap down and we can see more of the engine. So take that out and put that down in there. Okay, so here we can see with this little flap down the side, we can see the whole of the engine. This is an MG, essentially an MGP type engine, and it was modified for the Q-type by the addition of the large supercharger and various modifications with the increased size of water pump, etc. But a lot of power for obviously what is quite a light car. And sort of not many cc's, but a lot of power. And in the day, we talked briefly earlier about Doreen Evans driving this car, and the biggest problem with this car was actually getting the power down onto the track. There's several sort of archive photos of showing very scrubbed out back tyres, and essentially it seemed that its power and its weight caused a few initial problems with actually getting that power down onto the track. But a very lively drive, I should imagine.
Okay, Okay, Richard, that was great. Thanks very much. Perhaps can you tell me a bit about the speed trials themselves and how they developed and how this car would have come to be in them? Yes,
of course. I mean, the thread that links all these things together really is the fact that we got involved. It's back in 2015-16 in discovering a little known. Although in the day it was a very prominent piece of speed trial history. It was actually near Syston in Grantham, near Grantham, and there was a speed trial venue held there, and it would have. In fact, in 1935, this very car, this Q-type that we're looking at here, actually participated in that speed trial in 1935. So. We discovered this piece of track, and we decided we were going to hold an event, and the event was successful. We had lots of people sort of visiting us and enjoying the pre-war racing experience or speed trial experience. Yes, I remember it well. You remember it well. It was great fun, and we've developed from there. And now we're on to our fifth event. We've migrated to Grimsthorpe because there's greater sort of facilities there, and it suits all our needs perfectly for what we do with the speed trials. But our mission statement, if I can use that phrase, is really to actually evoke all of those early days of speed trial history, to be as authentic as possible to what they were doing in the day. So you might have, noticed all the guys in brown coats and beanie hats and all of that. Yeah. So we do that because we're really passionate about keeping it authentic. And when you see the pared down sort of technology, it all lends itself to if the sun shines, as it is beautifully now, if the sun shines, it's a fantastic day. And those people who've come to Grimsthorpe and experienced a speed trial, I think the greatest compliment that was paid to us was that it's got that sort of garden party atmosphere.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's
Yes.
you know, it's tea and it's beautiful cars and motorbikes, and everything stems from that. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
and no accidents so far. You know, with the two tones in the back reminded me of the fact we have no incidents.
Perfect. That's great. Thanks, Richard.
Pleasure.
Well, that was a look around the Q-Type, and this is nicely leading us on to Stefan Marjoram, who is our resident artist who does all our posters for Grimsthorpe, as some of you may know, and he has incorporated the Q-Type this year in our 2021 poster.